Hey guys, welcome to the studio. Come on in. I'd like to talk about something that I think is actually pretty profound and things that I've learned over the years. And I want to tell you a couple of secrets of how to be a great musician. Not a good musician, but a great musician. Now, I've talked on some other videos on how to become a better musician and a well rounded musician, and you might want to check out some of those videos. But this one really deals with how to be a great musician. Now, first of all, let me just say, do I think I'm a great musician? Well, personally, I think a lot of people are critical of themselves, and I would say, no, I'm not a great musician. I'm an adequate musician. But I think I've had enough compliments over the years that a lot of people do think that I'm a very good musician or a great musician. But I walked through the halls of Berkeley back in the days, and I can tell you there were just people that it just dropped my jaw, and I go, how can I be that good? But I think I've really discovered some secrets on really how to be a great musician. And let me just talk about a couple of those. First of all, you can see I've got a really nice looking bass here, and am I a bass player? No. But let me just talk about the instrument here right off the bat. I think to be a great musician, you at least ought to have a good instrument at your disposal. Play something that's decent. If you're struggling with your instrument, you're going to have a hard time. Now, this video I'm going to gear towards people that already are fairly decent players. I'm going to say intermediate or a little beyond. And I'm not talking to the beginners that are just learning how to kind of pick out their notes here, but somebody that already can play a little bit. But like I said, I think it's important to select the instrument. And so, no, I'm not a bass player. I'm a guitar player first, but I've got a great bass here. So I think that really illustrates that I'm serious about what I do and have a good instrument at my disposal, like I said. And I'm not all about the name on the headstock. I don't think that's really important. In fact, your listeners aren't going to realize whether Rickenbacker is really a good bass or not. In fact, most of them really don't care. They just really want to hear what you have to play. But I think they'll see that you do have a nice instrument. This is a nice quality instrument. I mean, I think it's gorgeous. And yeah, it's a 78 Rick, and I've had it for a long time. And it's my old buddy here. But kind of stemming off having a great instrument, I think one thing that you should strive for, and guitar players are notorious for this, is just to have a good sound, a good tone. And so this Rickenbacker, to me, gives me a good clear tone, good clean tone. It's a great bass sound. And the same with guitar. If you've got a nasty sound, people are going to go, "Oop, sorry, I don't want to listen to that." So at least be serious about your instrument and at least strive to get a good tone. Now, yes, there's some techniques on getting a good tone, and that's another video here. But, at least have some decent equipment that allows you to get some good tone. So I think that's one important aspect. But let's move on a little bit. I think a lot of people think, well, to be a great musician, you really need to have some incredible technique. And I think that, yes, there are a lot of great musicians that have incredible technique, and they're known for that. And they're very, they're hot players, and so that really what makes them a great musician. But I don't think you have to be the next Eddie Van Halen or the next Victor Wooten or whoever your favorite player is. I think as long as you have a good sound, repeating is you have a good instrument, and you play without mistakes. And I think that's very important, that you play without mistakes, that you're really going to accomplish a lot, and the listeners are going to really enjoy hearing what you have to say with your instrument. Now, let me talk about playing without mistakes. I think everybody's been into a guitar center where everybody's trying to do their sweep picking or play the flashiest stuff, and a lot of them are just stumbling over what they're playing. But if you just play correctly, play something nice, and I would say play melodically. A lot of times melodically or musically really trumps over flash playing, flashing. But I think that that's really the important aspect. If you're musical and you're not all about running up and down the highway or the fretboard here, that in the long run, people are really going to pay attention to what you had to say with your instrument. Now, granted, there's a lot of musicians that, like I said earlier, that are known for their technique. But think about those players. Let's talk about some guitar players. I think a lot of guitar players that have incredible technique are generally admired by other guitar players. But if you really look at the audience that they attract, it's other musicians. And that's relatively small audience compared to the entire listening audience. So I think you'll attract more listeners if that's what you're after by playing musically, playing correctly, and not trying to show off with your technique. And a lot of players come to mind with that. I think there's the guitar player in Pink Floyd. Plays very melodically, has an incredible tone, but he doesn't shred your socks off. And some of the, the people that like Pink Floyd think he is one of the best guitar players. I think you can go back to some other, I'm going to speak about players in my era, like the Eric Clapton. He's not a shredder. In fact, known as Mr. Slowhand, and he shredded back in the days for the time, but he's just known to be a good player. Pete Townsend of The Who, he's a great player. He plays what's called for. He doesn't try to blow your socks off with his technique, but he has good equipment, and then he busts it at the end of the show. But he plays what's called for. He plays melodically and he plays correctly. None of these guys, you don't hear them getting up on stage and playing mistakes. That's a big no-no. So let me just kind of get to the summation of this. And so, therefore, to play correctly, don't play beyond your level. Now, when you're practicing, I think that's what you need to do. You need to go ahead and stretch yourself out so you can improve. But when you're playing in a band or in a performance or in public, if you're trying to do something that's right on the edge of what you can do and you don't pull it off, people are going to go look and go, oh, that guy can't sweep pick. Well, then don't sweep pick. Just play what you can play and do it correctly. And with all the characteristics that I was talking before, good tone musically, without stomping on other people, and at the right time. So, I probably could just sum this up and just say, don't play beyond what you can do. That's really the big secret, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of situations that's really what worked well for me. I'm holding this bass guitar, like I say. I'm not a player, but when I play bass, I don't try to, because I can't do that. I'm not a great slapper, but I just play what's called for. I get a great tone with this babe, and so people think, hey, he's a pretty decent, bass player. When I get onto my instrument, guitar, I do the same thing, and my technique is elevated quite a bit over bass guitar, and so I've heard people say, hey, he's a great guitar player. So maybe that's what you want to hear, and maybe some of these secrets make sense to you. So anyway, thanks for bearing with me, of course, on another video, and I appreciate all the subscribers. They've really started to come in really in good numbers. But I'll let you go, guys. Thanks again, and we'll catch you in the next video, huh? Later, guys.